Hello and welcome to our Resilience Matters with a slightly different angle today. As always, it's myself, Alison, and Kathy. We're here today to talk to you about the Learning Week that's coming up, aren't we, Kathy?
We are. Very exciting. I can't believe it's come up so quickly, actually.
I know. So this all started off last May. Last May, as in May 2022. We wanted to do something that would help people as well, help as many people as possible to really start thinking more about mental strength, about resilience. And so somebody said to us, well, why don't you sort of run a seminar? Why don't you get some speakers in? And we were like, oh, we can't do that. We can't ask other people to come in. And then we're like, yes, you can. We've got this. We can do
Yeah,
this. We can ask
exactly.
people. So as some of you may know, it is World Mental Health Day on Monday. And so we thought October, great time to do it. And we have a week of learning at lunchtime learning slots, starting the following week, because we thought, that next week could be a little bit full. The following week, 17th of October to the 21st of October, with some amazing speakers. So that's our big news for the month. Those of you who've seen our emails will have picked up on that as well. We're very excited about it, aren't we?
We are. And I think you'd agree when we started, I've got this. Our philosophy was always, let's just help one person at a time. If what we do helps one person, then we've done good. And I think with it being Mental Health Awareness Month as well, it just seems an ideal time. We've made so many great connections with our business. People who do amazing work, people who have amazing stories that are just nothing short of role models.
Yeah.
That if we can share that with the world, and actually we should mention it's free. So it's lunchtime learning, it's free. If we can share, we've tried to do it a little bit like, so there's some stories, but actually that inspires people, but also that learning as well that comes with that.
Yeah, definitely. The stories and the science, because I think, that's one of the things I remember when I first started working in this sort of field of sort of like mental health and well-being, but also sort of like what used to be viewed as like quite holistic in terms of the way we looked at ourselves. It was kind of viewed as being a little bit fluffy and intangible. And how do we know? And it's like, actually, do you know what? The neuroscience and the work that's being done out there to really show us now how our brains work, the way they function, the way they can rewire, what different thinking does to our brains, literally to the neurons that fire. It's absolutely stunning, isn't it? And you realize just what I know this is going to sound a bit daft, but what an asset your brain is and how you want to make the
Oh my
best of
God.
it.
And you know what? One of my biggest learnings from all of what we do, I guess there's a few things. One, once I realised our brain is so amazing, and if you can think about why, it keeps us safe, we can understand why we react. And interestingly, just on LinkedIn this morning, I saw something about losing your temper, and how we can take it out on the people we love and things like that. But it's because things get built up. And they put on there, actually, our brain, if we shout at people, it scares the enemy away. And that's why we do it. And you go, oh, right, okay. So, it almost, I'm not saying it's not our fault, but actually, if we can understand why these things happen, and actually it is our brain keeping us safe, actually, we should have comfort, not, oh my God, judging ourselves, thinking I should be in a different place, I should feel differently to this, I should be stronger, I should be this. Our brain's reacting as it should. It's helping us. It's trying to help us. And
And
that's
then
been one of my biggest learnings.
it's that harnessing it and going, okay, so I know why I did that, but actually I can control that more. I can recognize the emotions. Emotional intelligence, that's obviously been around for a while now, that we talk a lot about that, sort of understanding ourselves, understanding how we feel, how we react, and not critiquing ourselves, as you say, but just going, okay, right, I can work with that now I understand. Understanding is it's the thing, isn't it? It's like when you go, okay, so that's why that happens, then you're open to making those changes.
Definitely. And that's what really excites me about some of the speaker lineups, actually, because, as I say, sometimes people say something and the penny does drop, and you think, oh my God, or even people who you think, oh my God, amazing. Do you really think like that? Do you feel like that? Has that, did you? It's not a judgment, and again, that's something that I really want to call out, even when we do our talk. It's about that judgment element that we have on ourselves and other people. If we can let that go, that really holds us back and limits us.
Definitely. And I think with our with the learning week, and one of the things that we want to talk about today was around, we will focus on the two things that we talk about. And it's interesting to see how some people think these are quite interchangeable, and for other people, and I was thinking about this morning, they are quite different. But this idea of resilience and then mental strength, and actually, are they two halves of the same coin? Are they the same thing? Are they very different? But why do we need both? Because if I think about it from my perspective through my life, I've definitely needed both along the way.
Oh, definitely. And I think it's that difference, and we've spoken about this, that difference between surviving and thriving. And I think it's why you won't mind me sharing, even when we started, I have got this, it was like, is this mental health? Is it, if I'm in business, at what point do I need occupational health and schemes like that? At what point do I just need picking up and just changing that mindset a little bit? And for me, I think there's that kind of bit where you do need intervention, you do need professional help. There's also, I think, everyone can benefit from building their mental strength. Even if at any point, wherever you are in that spectrum, to look at things differently, to find opportunities, to look at how, those positive sides of life. I think that enables growth and that open-mindedness. So, for me, I think that's the difference. There's that bouncing back versus thriving and kind of grabbing life and making the most of it. I mean, what are your thoughts?
No, I think that I agree that, and you'd taken me back again to when we were first talking about it, and we didn't know whether we wanted to use the word change proof. Because it is this thing about change. If we make change a thing, a tangible thing, it's like resilience is about a change that's happened, and how do you pick yourself up because that change has happened. Whereas actually, when we're talking mental strength, it's like change is there going, woohoo, I'm coming. And it's like, how do you deal with it? And for people with mental strength, they're going, yeah, you can wave at me all you want, mate. I'm ready for you. And that's why we went with the whole idea about the learning to surf, as surfing the waves of change, because for us it's very much about, you can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf.
Yeah, totally. And it is making that most of those situations. And you've just taken me back again to something we used to talk about, was about weebles. Weebles wobble, they don't fall down. We're not saying people aren't affected by change, or, I can't even begin to talk about some of the last couple of years, but how you react to it, you can control. But it doesn't mean to say you're fine with it. We're not robots, but it's what we do with that to spur us on and move us to the next level, and and how we evolve from it.
I mean, I think, one of the things that we've talked about a lot, and that you see a lot out there, is actually, we are in really quite tumultuous times at the moment. And, from that perspective, it's like, actually, so God, when did I start work? A long time ago. But if we talk like late 80s into the 90s, it was actually comparatively calm as a world. Things were quite predictable, but we are, absolutely in a very unpredictable world now. And to be able to think, have a mindset that says it's okay. Yeah, there's another thing popping up from the Daily Mail or something on social media, which could unnerve me, which could make me think, oh no, that's I could become a self-fulfilling prophecy in a negative way. But actually, I can also look at it and go, do you know what? I can do this. I am motivated and driven, open and generous, bold and courageous, and I can deal with this. That's that's what we really want to encourage in people, isn't it? That mental strength to go, it's okay, because I'll find my way no matter what. Because we honestly, aliens could land next year. I don't know. It could be anything.
But we can worry about it, or we can just think, if that happens, maybe we'll be friends. I don't know, but it is about how we perceive things, and it's such a small thing, but when you said there about a self-fulfilling prophecy, it's exactly that. And again, you get back to the neuroscience of it. If we believe something's going to happen, then inevitably it will, because what we didn't realize, we make micro adjustments, we look for different things, we scan for different things, which is why it's so important to scan for new and brilliant things, because that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And that only comes from understanding our brains and how it works. I mean, it's incredible, isn't it, how much control we do have.
And it's very empowering, with a tiny little bit of frightening, because it's like, actually, on the one hand, how amazing is our brain, how amazing is our mindset, but on the other hand, okay, so all those things that have happened in the past have also been because of my brain and my mindset. And you might go, okay, I did that to myself. You can't blame it on anybody else. In a lot of situations, it's like, that happened because of the way I viewed it. But then, say, the empowering part is, actually, there are always opportunities. There are always different ways to do things. Actually, I feel really bad saying always, most of the time, because there aren't always. Let's be absolutely honest. If I say always, it's a bit like that, toxic positivity thing. Like, you must always find another way. But most of the time, there are other ways of doing things. There are opportunities out there. If you just stop, breathe, and then go, okay, this is what I'm dealing with, and I can deal with it, rather than letting it overwhelm you and your emotions overwhelm you, and everything starts to go slightly downhill.
Exactly. And that only happens because our amazing brains are keeping us safe. Absolutely. So it's and I don't also want to just talk about toxic positivity. Equally, if people are struggling, I don't want people listening to this going, oh my God, I should be doing it. Again, comes back to the judgment thing. We've all been at different places and different times. I know I talk about, obviously, accountant can't help it, that 0 to 50 and 50 to 100, that surviving, where you do need intervention and help, and times where things are good, and you can see that we have, every person, I defy you, has been on that spectrum somewhere, so I just want to be clear as well that building mental strengths does help you, the resilience across the spectrum wherever you are, but to be kind to yourself.
And absolutely, and resilience is almost like that starting point that for people who are struggling, rather than me saying take a breath and see what's out there, take a breath and just think, well, what can I do? Because there's always something, and that's the resilience part. And obviously we'll talk in a moment about the program, but as part of my life story, it's absolutely about, for me, a lot of this started with resilience, of going, okay, do you know what? I'm capable of this, and this. And then that helps you to start to move into that mental strength and that mindset. But first of all, it's knowing, actually, you are a complete and whole human being. You have a unique set of qualities, and you know what? Whatever it is, I wouldn't be at all surprised if you aren't able yourself, or with the support of those around you, to take the next step.
Yeah, totally. And I know you've got loads and loads of qualifications and in all sorts of things, but I think particularly that's what I like about coaching, is we do have the answers within. It's just a case of unpicking them sometimes, and then finding those techniques to find them. We are all capable of finding the answers within. It's there.
Definitely.
It just gets buried a little bit sometimes.
So shall we have a look at our program for the week?
Oh, let's do it. I do have our program here. Bear with.
Ta-da, there we go. Yeah, so we're very excited about it. We've got a brilliant, well, we think a brilliant balance of stories and science. So on the first day, it's us. we felt we were asking other people to share their life stories and their life lessons, and then it's suddenly like, actually, well, maybe we should do the same. I think we've thrown little bits of our lives into our LinkedIn lives, but actually, this is us, being vulnerable and, sharing some of the things that we've gone through, but also the life lessons that come out of this. This isn't about, woe is us. This is okay, and this is what we've learned. This is what is shaping the way our lives are right now. So that is the idea behind the life lessons session at 12 o'clock on the Monday. And then we're doing another silent coaching. It went down well last time we did a silent coaching, which I think was that in May.
Can't remember.
April or May. We did a silent coaching before, and this is just about giving yourself space. So this is a live silent coaching. We're not going to be recording this because the people who are there may want to share their experience of it afterwards. But Kathy, being the excellent coach that she is, will coach you and give you the space to start to think about how you can surf those waves of change. So this is almost like you ring fencing some time for yourself to reflect. So that's what we're doing at 1 o'clock on the Monday, is giving you space. If you book yourself on, and we'll talk about how you book yourself on in a bit, giving you space to think and focus about what you want to get out of, potentially it could be out of this week or out of the rest of the year, or what you need going forward in terms of being a little bit mentally stronger, a little bit more resilient. So that's our Monday session.
Yeah, I can't wait for that, actually. And yeah, on Tuesday, so we've got Lindsay Smith. So where do I start with Lindsay? I don't want to ruin any big reveal. Lindsay is amazing. I know when I spoke to her the first time, she absolutely inspired me. She's done all sorts of things. She was a midwife at One Help. She helped people with AIDS, a lot of mental health training, and she actually went back to uni later in life. She lifelong learner. I've never known anybody have so many degrees and bits and pieces, but she's done a lot around preventative suicide and let's say that psychology piece, and she's going to share her story, but with a particular focus about trauma. And what is interesting is that we can all hold trauma, childhood trauma, but we just carry on our days, but actually that manifests itself, and we don't realize how that can particularly affect. I mean, it could be trauma, I don't say it has to be huge, but trauma to us mentally and physically, that can have an impact on the way we live our life. If it goes unnoticed, it can, at work, it can show up in so many ways, and sometimes we don't realize that how we might be in certain situations is linked to that. So her views on trauma and how we look at that is fascinating. She's going to talk more about that and her story. But yeah, so I'm really excited to hear about that, actually. And in the afternoon, we've got Kate Greenstone. Now, Kate's great. She's also an ICF coach, so I have a bit of an affiliation there with her. But she's also a certified mindfulness teacher. And she's going to actually go through some practical technique with us as well, to support us about how mindfulness can change how we react to change, our mental state at that time. So I'm hoping that people will get some real practical guidance and help in that area with Kate's session.
Lovely. Yep. And then on Wednesday, we start off with Paul Bannister. We met Paul in Newcastle a few months ago. Paul's focus is men's health, and increasing health awareness in the male population. And he will talk about his own stories in terms of mental health. And we will also explore how we can help and encourage greater mental health awareness and greater mental strength for men, because it is different. It's a different approach to the approach we take for women. And Paul has some great perspectives on that. So that's what Paul will bring on Wednesday. And then we have Linda Shaw. Very excited to have Linda. We were mentioning the neuroscience earlier. Linda will go through, we'll be talking about growth mindsets, how the mind does literally rewire itself, recalibrate itself, the impact of that, and what we can do to really train our brains to work for us rather than against us. So very excited to have Linda there.
Yep, and we've got Zargle. Love Zargle. She's amazing. And we came across Zargle. She holds a PhD in cognitive neuroscience in the University of Oxford, as well as social, is it cognition from the UCL? Can't say the word, sorry. But fascinating. So she does a lot of research. She does focus a lot on women's mental health because we wanted to make that balanced. But she's been doing some amazing research, and actually the links, she actually scans to see what reactions our brains have in certain situations, which I find fascinating. But also that link between how we feel about ourselves and how that links to depression. So I can't wait to hear more about that and the neuroscience behind it. Again, understanding how our brains work and why we react as we are. And, and if people are more prone to being, to suffer from depression because of particular things, again, the actual physical side of that, not just the mental side. So, yeah, can't wait to hear from Zargle. And Zoe Bennett. Now, where do I start with Zoe? You cannot even have a conversation with Zoe without being inspired. And if you ever look up Zoe, she's called the Motivational Queen. And I think that's probably very well written, calling herself Motivational Queen. But she does some really great stuff with women's refuges. And again, if you listen to her backstory, oh my God, how you can turn that trauma into something more positive and turn that around. And she wants to talk particularly as well about imposter syndrome and how that can hold us back and how we can change that. So again, really looking forward to Zoe's session and what she brings to that as well, about that motivation and that imposter syndrome element.
And then on Friday, it's us again. And our challenge throughout the week is not just to fangirl with everybody that we speak to, but it's to actually start to get those nuggets and really help to bring some clear points along the way about what we've been talking about and how that's really going to help you to build that mental strength and resilience. So that will be our focus on Friday. We will be looking at our 6 thinking habits. But we will absolutely be linking it into the lessons and the thoughts that we've had with all of our speakers. So sharing our thoughts, but also a summary of the thoughts and ideas that have come along the way. Yeah. So that's our week, and I'm really excited for it. I think it'll be amazing. We've set them all up as LinkedIn events. But actually what we do need people to do, if they've put themselves down on a LinkedIn event, is to go to Eventbrite. Now, you can either go directly to Eventbrite, where you should be able to find the week, or if not, there's a link which is on our website, isn't there, Kathy? So if you go to the Explore page on the website, if you do,
there's a direct link,
or you can direct link,
Explore piece. And I think it's fine. I mean, hopefully, if people are watching this on LinkedIn Live, they can look up either one of us or our business on LinkedIn Live, and all the events were there, which will just take you to that Eventbrite link, and we'll have all those sessions separately, so you can dip into some or all of them.
Yes, absolutely. And if you sign up for them on Eventbrite, what we can also do is where we have permission to do the recording, which is for most, except with Kate's, which is an experiential one, and the silent coaching, because we don't want to be sharing other information, private information from other people on the sessions. If you sign up for it, what we will do is we'll also give you access to the video for 30 days afterwards. So even if you can't actually make it, sign up for it, and then we'll send you a link to the video afterwards. So because we know it's like, we love the idea of having learning stuff all week, but everybody else is going, actually, I've got a day job to do as well, Alison and Kathy. So we recognize that, sign up for it, and you can get the recording afterwards.
Perfect. Well, I can't wait.
No, really looking forward to seeing people there, and the imaginary people who'll sign up won't be there, but who'll watch it afterwards, which seems to be the new way we work as human beings.
Exactly. Oh,
and that's, I think, us done for the day.
I think it is. Yeah, brilliant. Well, nice to catch up with you, Alison.
You take care.
See you later. Bye.